Had a bear in camp this week. Here's the image of that. Little bear appears to be what it is. I'll look. Jello has been made. There's that right there. That is a VCR. Many of us probably still have some in a room, in a closet, in an attic. Welcome to Time by the Tent. Thank you for joining me on another weekend here up at the land. Very windy weekend, warm, well 75 for a high. Today 45 for a low and then 68 for a high tomorrow. Already put the flag up from emflag.com and I will need to pierce a hole. We talked about this last couple of episodes. Puncture a hole at the bottom of that ground sleeve where that foam is, because that's where water is retaining when it rains. And if it continues to do that when it gets cold, it will lock this pole and I will not be able to extend it until it thaws out. So that's I gotta bring a metal rod, or maybe I can find a very firm stick this weekend and just pierce enough to get that water to drain to the bottom of the hole. Also gonna pull the data from the trail cameras. Had a bear in camp this week. Here's the image of that. Little bear appears to be what it is. I'll look more at the data. Didn't have any more images than the one that was sent to our phones through the app. So let me get that data pulled. I'm not going to tell you all the things I want to do this weekend because I may not get to them. So you're going to come along with me as I get them done. Not a whole lot on the list this weekend, but it nevertheless some tasks to get done. Also, last week at the end of the video, Holly and I taped the windows to prevent those what we think was mice coming up and packing stuff in the windows. We had big rain Sunday night up here, Monday and I think Tuesday, and the tape fell. There was no there's no sticking it. So I did open up three of the 5 windows. You can see through in the back there, try to get some ventilation to dry out the tent. It's still moist and damp, and there's some water on the floor from last week when we left. So that's going on. I'll get things unpacked, get the fire going, and start working on different projects. Appreciate you coming along and enjoying the weekend with me. All right, heading down here to pick up that wood in which I cut last week, right at the end of the weekend. I'm going to bring up the limbs and I'll get the firewood separate. There's the pile there. Let's go. That can be campfire. Here's that. I'm going to bring bugs everywhere. I'm going to take that first and then put the top of that tree on top of it, and that'll put a good amount of coals on that fire. And then I'll get the rest of that at some point, either today or tomorrow. And then more and more trees will cut down, not this weekend, but as we need to. Ooh, looking at the garden. Yeah, had a deer walk in the garden there, which big hooves deer right here. Doesn't appear that it's ate anything. I got one tomato plant coming up that I started from seed. I do have seeds in the car. I will replant the other 3 here. Onions and leeks are doing well. Beans are doing well. I've got peppers. Eggplants are doing good. What to do? Have any summer squash come up in this little hole back here? No, but I do have a good stand at our other garden at the house. I don't see any sunflowers there. So it's just kind of a hodgepodge, see what will happen. But I am Just walked right over. But that's a big deer. That might be one of the does I'm seeing on camera. Okay, I'll get this loaded up and head back up to the campfire. Alright, made it up. It's not a heavy load, it's just difficult because every time you move everything wants to shake. But that's just one of the benefits of making a railing for your gorilla cart. You can really kind of pack stuff in and it doesn't roll as much. So I will feed this to the campfire. Had some cardboard and started it. Wood's kind of wet because of all the rain. This has been elevated off the ground. So this will help build a good coal base, and then I can throw some normal or regular firewood on after that. So I looked through all the data on this trail camera and then the one that's just below the hill, about 20 yards, and the bear came up. It was a cub. You can see the video right here. It came up and walked over here, sniffed the barbecue grill, climbed up. Then it appears, based on the imagery, the camera only takes so many seconds, and then it has to wait and do all this thing. But anyway, it came down and it appears that it was heading back in that direction because it never triggered another picture up by the tent. If that bear was up wandering around the tent, because like whenever I set it before I leave, it'll take a picture as I'm walking, and then I'll stand over here from where the tent is, and it'll trigger every little move I make. So it clearly wasn't up here. Right there is where all our cast iron is that we cook with on a regular basis. There's cooking oil in there. So that's all I know. So came from that direction, and maybe a fluke thing, or maybe it'll be back. It's not obviously a very big bear, you can tell. So I do have baked potatoes in the fire. I got to get the fire stoked up again here, burning off the limbs, which I don't like wasting the limbs. It's kind of like okay, the tree provides you the main big wood, but then you just discard the limbs. I know some applications it's not feasible to save and burn them, but I try to use every part of the tree up I can. So tomorrow afternoon I'll go out and pull the data from the camera that's in the woods. Last week I switched it over from AT&T to Verizon. It did send more images, check-ins. It updated about 90% of the time. If it couldn't send a picture, but still, there's a lot of people on the network up here, and the network's not as strong or as strong with the leaves on the trees. So that's where we're at on that. That video of all of the imagery of the trail camera stuff should already be on the channel at this point, and if I remember I'll link it below, or you can just go back a couple of video or two and you'll see it there if you've not already watched that. Working on more Kinlin for the Kinlin bucket here. These are blocks in which came out of the DVD make a stand 2-3 weeks ago. Almost got the Kinlin bucket full. I got some birch bark. I'm just finishing up this block here so I have plenty of dry Kinlin to get the fire going. I'm going to have a fire inside tonight. 45 for a load tonight up here in the Northwoods of Wisconsin. So have Kinlin for that. I've got dry wood, and it'll be a good warm tent. To finish off the story about the black bear there, this barbecue grill we used to try to smoke ribs on the third week in July a year ago, and that's the only time that has been used. Homer Simpson for the Homer Simpson 10th anniversary grill. And nothing's in there. So that's, if you're wondering if we cook a lot on that, no. We cook on the fire and use cast iron pans that we keep outside. I did a short about that a couple of weeks ago. Not that we don't put that in the tent because of the potential of black bears. We want to have as few smells in the tent as possible, and all the smells outside, such as the food on the cast iron. And we now, up to this point, up till last week, we were not taking the food to the car and leaving it in the tent. I will now start taking it to the car just as a precautionary, so I don't have to be, have issues with any type of bear. So that's the conclusion of that story about the black bear. So one thing that I have read a lot on forums, and I have no clue if it is true or not about black bears, is they hate the smell of pine saw. So that was one of the first things that we got last year when we first initially came up here, was pine saw. And I made these pine saw distributors. Soda bottle with 2 flaps, and just sat right over here where the 2 were at. Now I need to drain that out because there's just gook and slime in there. I've got another one here. Now I've made 3 more. Yeah, there's still a little smell in there, just not very much. So, hold on, let me get the rest of that. There we go. So, what I will do, I've got 3 more bottles like that that's got the little cut flaps or little windows cut out of it to keep the water out but the pine saw in. And those 2 will stay over there. I'll put one kind of over by the storage tent here. Not sure where. So that's one that I've got there. I'm going to put one over by the flagpole. One over by the archery lane, which is right here. And all I'm going to do is just kind of nestle it in the leaves. Probably put one kind of in that area, and then another one kind of in this area here, so the whole area is surrounded by pine saw smell. I'm not going to put a super lot. I'm not going to fill the bottles up because I got to smell this stuff too, so I want it to be enough to where it's there, and if it does work, it's fine. If it doesn't, I'm not out a whole lot of anything. I think $4 and a couple of soda bottles. So that's just all I'm going to do. Just like you saw the bottles there, just put a little bit in each bottle and just nest it next to something and call it good. Just as another way of precautionary. Now I have no clue, if I've not found any videos or really haven't done any more than read forums saying that this is the smell that they do not like. Now again, we're not keeping food in the tent, but just tell them that we don't want them around here in a nice way. So I forgot to show you, I had hot dogs and baked potato for supper. You've seen it before, you know what that looks like. Just got away and was eating and realized I didn't share with you. So I think before I go in the tent, I'm going to get some water and boil a cup of water and make some strawberry jello and put it outside here. I'll put some firewood around it so it can't get tipped over by whatever animal might come, probably like underneath that bench there, because it's supposed to be 45 degrees tonight. Strawberry jello. And with the bear thing, I don't know, if it would matter, but I don't want to put it in the tent. I want to put it out here and have the camera on tonight, just in case something does come into camp and or disturbs it. We'd have it on camera. But back during turkey camp, this was late April. No, not late April, mid-May. I made orange jello in the tent because it was about 45 degrees at night. So it does work. So I'll have some strawberry jello for breakfast along with pancakes in the morning. So, and just 1 cup of hot water, 1 cup of cold water, and I'm putting it in a little plastic tub with a lid on it. So I got a video on how I did it prior. Just telling you, and I'll show it to you in the morning. So if anything else exciting happens tonight, I'll bring you along, but otherwise, I'm just going to sit by the fire, enjoy it, and I will see you in the morning. Good morning. Had a good night's sleep. No animals invaded the camp. Jello has been made. Just that right there. Yep, it's strawberry jello. Yeah. So that can be consumed. Has a camera on, nothing triggered the camera. Nothing came into camp. Didn't expect it to, but if it did, I wanted to get it on camera to show you. A little cold in the tent last night. Had the fire going, got up to about 70, fell asleep. It's 56 right now in there. Supposed to be 70 for a high today. See the sun there. It's only 8 o'clock in the morning. The sun's quite high in the sky. Of course, right now it gets light like 4, starts getting light like 4:15 in the morning. And it won't be too long. That'll start getting light like at 6:15, 7:15, one of those things. So I'm going to get the fire started again. And begin the day, have pancakes. Get that wood hauled up from down by the car, and then start working on leveling underneath the deer hanger here for 2 purposes. One, so I can work on a deer butchering out if I get one and harvest it. And 2, this can be an area where we have family coming up, Holly and I do. In August, we'll have one tent where the picnic table is there, and then this will be an area for another tent. And we'll go from there. So thank you so much for hanging out with me this weekend. See if we can get a few more jobs done. Enjoy the woods. And then we'll pack things up and take it on home. Some made pancakes this time with 4 eggs instead of 3. Last week, if you watched the video, Holly and we made pancakes, and we made it with 3 eggs instead of 2. This time I made it with 4 to see if I could get any more fluffiness out of it. They're just kind of a little laying flat. They're very watery. I didn't want to oversaturate the batter with more batter, but I think we've reached the limit. I think 3 is kind of where we're need to be instead of 4. They're not bad. They're just moist, but they don't have a whole lot of lift. I guess whatever the protein or the molecule or whatever is in them, the baking soda, the egg dilutes it or whatever, and we just don't get a massive marshmallow size pancake. But that's fine. It was worth trying, so we'll stick with 3 with the regular 2 cups of pancake mix. This is the Bizquick mix. There are some where you just add water and don't have to add eggs. This is what I've got until we run out. Okay, got the wood in the wagon. The times in which I have come down to the car or in this area since last night, taking the food down and then getting some other stuff, I would go up and carry 1 or 2 pieces of wood at a time just to maximize my trips. So there's like 4 pieces less wood here than there would have been if I just let it sit. So get this up there, and then next week drop another tree and continue to, the lighting's very bad there, continue to do the process until it gets too cold and deer season occurs, because you can never have enough wood for campfire and or the tent. You can see the path I go up. I go around that bush there and then up. And I don't know if you can see, well, you kind of see. It's a decent grade. I do need to figure out from top to bottom what that is. And I will do that now, and I'll let you know when we get to the top of the hill once with the wood pile, or wood cart. So you can see water at the bottom of that hole when we put the ground sleeve in. There's a styrofoam locking foam that you put around to keep it in the ground instead of using concrete. And the water has pooled in there. Now I don't know if that's a me installation error or what was done wrong there. So next week I'll bring up a snow stake or a very thin, dense piece of wire or rod, in order to pound in the side there to get beyond the foam and into the rock base in the bottom to get that water to drain, because it will freeze and the flag will be inoperable during cold temperatures, and I don't want that. So that'll be a simple fix, but something to put on the list to bring the parts needed in order to do it. I tried to put my hand down there with a knife and with a broom handle. It's just, there's too much, it's too far. It's like 18-20 inches I got to go down, and the knife wasn't going to do it, and the broom handle was too big of a diameter to force through that foam. So I figured out the solution. We'll get it fixed next week. But this flagpole from emflag.com, it's really light. You can pull it in and out of the ground. Terrible angle there. Very easily in and out of the ground sleeve. So if you followed the videos, this is the deer hanger. Holly and I put this in a couple of weeks ago. I never leveled the ground because I didn't see that there was a purpose to do such. But now that we're going to have family come up, I need to level this for another tent location. So it will benefit me in the long run, because it'll be level for whenever I hang a deer up or deer and butcher them out. So just going to take a shovel and just work the area as level as I can get it. I'm not going to try to level it to put a patio in or anything like that, but just to get it the best I can for a tent and for me to work in the area here. So that is as complete as I need it for the deer hanger. Until I know the dimensions of the tent that's coming, I'm not going to do any more. It's 8 foot across by 7 foot front to back would be the footprint right now. If I need to take a little bit more out right there, I can. And then that, where the table is, that's fairly level. Just got to rake the leaves out, probably knock down a hump or two here or there, and that will be sufficient for that location. I need to know the measurements of that tent as well, to make sure that when they come here in a little over a month, they can just drop the tent down, put it up, and it will be good to go. But anyway, I wanted to do this anyway. This gave me a reason to. Looks real nice. Looks, I mean, it's level as it needs to be. And didn't take very long. Okay, heading in the woods with computer to download the last 60 days of images and video from this trail camera. Some that we have gotten through the app before the leaves got apparently too filled in, and that's what's preventing most of the time images to come through. That and the network. A lot of people on the network apparently, and it's a limited network. It's one of these, I don't know. When the leaves were down last year, we had zero issue. We were getting photographs every day, multiple times a day. Now, we didn't have the cameras up until July of last year, and then they were closer to where camp is now and not as deep in the woods, so I'm sure that had factors. But the one in the woods here is moderate all the time, and the one at camp is moderate to strong all the time. But we're only getting images part of the time from in the woods, which if I'm picking, I want to see what's going on at camp as a security level more than what's going on in the woods. Things may or may not be walking by. So that video, as I spoke about earlier, will have already been out. The trail camera footage for May and June 2024. So I'm just going to come in here, pull it, and then I'll head back to camp. Alright, one of the other projects I'm working on is that thing there. That is a VCR. Many of us probably still have some in a room, in a closet, in an attic. So I've got it to where it's feeding off of an old VHS tape. And I've got it in the ports in the back. It's still, there's some buzzing noises on it, but overall 80% good audio. I do have some other cables at home in which I can bring up and swap. I don't want to do a converter. I bought one, but I don't want to use it. I can resell that on online marketplace, because if this is the minimum buzzing noise and all this, I'm okay with that for the few times I would be watching some of the hunting VHS tapes that I can acquire or will acquire compared to the DVD. But it's a device that was not being used. It runs about 17 watts an hour compared to the 13 watts the DVD player runs, and the TV I think runs like 31 watts, something like that. So, but VCR, DVD, I guess you kind of gotta have that at deer camp maybe, or at camp. So that project is partially completed, so I will bring up some additional cables for that. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with me this weekend, getting the security camera fired up and turned on. If you made it this far, let's put VCR in the comments below to let me know you made it this far, since that is a new addition to the tent. Old technology, but it will be fine for us. We appreciate you tuning in. Be sure you like, subscribe, and comment. And until next time, I'll see you then.